Joel is just so cute. I love Joel.
I'm a big Joel fan. Canada loves you. Your house guests love you. Did a great job.
It's okay to be a little weird because we all have our weird quirks and stuff. And
Joel is the best. Joel, you're the winner, and I will shout loudest. Don't you worry.
Joel's a really smart guy.
Let's hear it, please, for Joel.
What's up, everyone? This is Joel here with another edition of Random Thoughts. Week 2 of Big Brother Canada is in the books, and there's a lot to tackle yet again with Big Brother Canada. And with me today to help break it down, I've awoken the sleeping giant from the St. Patrick's Day hangover. It is none other than the Lady Pleaza, Godfrey Mangwiza. Godfrey, what's up?
Yeah, nothing much, man. Great to talk to you again, Joel. Like, it's been a while since we've talked about Big Brother, right?
It's been quite a long time. Me and you have had lots of chats back and forth. I know last year about the dynamics and some of the new people and some of the vets that were coming in. So I'm looking forward to chatting brand new house guests this season. I think the number one thing we need to talk about, the big burning question in week number 2, is likely, what are your thoughts on the Hasbro Twister game? How on the edge of your seat were you with that game watching at home?
Oh, like I was literally like, I'm like, geez, I just need like, you know, somebody to win who's actually gonna like shake up the house. Pretty much.
Right. Who was your money on to win the Twister? Who did you think was the best position to win the game of Twister, courtesy of Hasbro?
Jeez, like, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think it was pretty evenly matched. It was pretty evenly matched, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of those that it's a crapshoot. Like, anybody can win it, right? So, like, I think it was evenly matched.
Yeah, I would agree. Off to serious matters, though. Let's start off with the beginning of the week. So Rosina leaves. We didn't get any access to the live feeds, which we never do in week number 1. So we have no idea really what the hell is going on in week number 1, other than a couple little snippets on the edited TV show. But we see Andrew working really hard to try to flip the votes. Do you think that it was even really necessary for Andrew to do that? And is that the only reason that he got in the position that he was in?
Yeah, like, to be honest, like, I feel like when I saw Andrew doing that, like, campaigning hard, this guy was fighting like his Big Brother life is on the line. And I'm like, dude, you're not even on the block. You're not even nominated. Like, why do you have such interest in whether Rosina stays or not? Like, obviously, it was in his best interest since he's one of the older people. Right. You don't want the house to go with the theme of voting out all the old guys and old ladies first. So I think from that angle, he kind of had an interest in Rosina staying, but the way he fought was way too aggressive for somebody you literally just met 3 days ago, and then you're going to put your game on the line to save them. Like, it's not like him and Rosina had a alliance. Yeah. So I just felt like he fought too hard, and it was unnecessary. He already gave, like, how many people? 6 people safety. I'm like, you're good with 6 people in the house already, or 7 it was, right? Yeah. So I'm like, why do you need to do all the extra stuff? Yeah.
So was it, do you think that him being put in that position, which was through no fault of his, it was just crazy luck that he got handed, he got handed that glass. Do you think that that created enemies at all with anybody in the house, or do you think that had no bearing in it? It was more so him fighting hard to keep Rosina that put him in his position?
To be honest, I think it had no bearing at all. Because at the end of the day, he had to pick some people for safety, right? And at the end of the day, who ended up nominating him again? Who was the HOH? It was his own boy, who he gave safety to. So, like, that had absolutely nothing to do with him going on the block and going home. I feel like it was more so just his campaign strategy.
Yeah, not just
like, this guy was literally going up to people and saying, if you're a man, you're going to give me your word and vote to keep Rosina out. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, when I played, that's not really the way you want to go about getting people to vote a certain way by putting them on the spot.
Yeah.
And then telling them, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, I think he was right. I agree with you. I think definitely for somebody like him, it is in his best interest to keep somebody like Rosina around, because somebody like Rosina will naturally probably gravitate more towards somebody like an Andrew, no question about it. But at the same time, there's a way to go about it when you're campaigning, and the last thing people want is to feel threatened or to feel like you need an answer right here and now. And if you're going to just up and call people out like that and put that kind of pressure on people, people will go against you and be like, yo, you cannot put us in this position. Just let us make up our own mind. I think he could have made a case for I think he could have made a case for Rosina without being like, guys, let's do this right here and right now.
Exactly. He could have. That's the thing. He needed more finesse. He just went straight up and said, "This is what you got to do." Like, he should have played it a little more subtle and say, "Hey, this is what I feel about the situation. You guys," or even ask them, "What do you guys think?" But like, based on what I saw on the edited version, it really seemed like he just walked into a room and said, "This is what we're doing." And you are all stupid if you do not do that.
Yeah, do you think it's just like a lack of experience with the show, or do you think why do you think he was so hell bent on going that way? Do you think that's just his personality and he didn't just know how to hold back, or what?
Yeah, I feel like he had a bad read on the house guests. Maybe he felt like they would be more more submissive to just do what he said. Or maybe he misjudged his position in the game. Maybe he thought he was an influencer and he was like, man, these people are going to respect what I have to say and do it. But I think like he misjudged that. He didn't know that they already had their own agendas early on.
Yeah, and speaking of misjudgments, but somebody who, some people might disagree with me on this, but I think this is somebody who has a decent read on people in the house, but has definitely made a lot of misjudgments, and he's been all over the show the last week, and that's because he was HOH, and that's Ryan. Let's start with the beginning of Ryan. There's a lot that we can talk about when it comes to Ryan. There is a lot we can talk about with Ryan, but I want to start from the very beginning. Do you think that given Ryan's position after at the end of week 1 when Rosina was evicted, was it in his best interest to win head of household?
Not at all. Absolutely not. Because I don't think Ryan was on anybody's radar, so to speak. And I feel like when he won, he got power hungry. And it's kind of disappointing because he's a super fan and claims to have watched all the seasons, all 26, as he says. And how do you not know that it's never a good idea to win HOH early in the game, especially when you're not even in trouble? And not only winning HOH, on top of that, going on to nominate the only allies you have. Like, that was just terrible judgment on his part. When he was in that competition, like, I was literally going like, come on, Ryan, throw it. Like, you're not a physical threat. These people probably don't even think you're that smart. You don't have to do it. But yeah, I feel like it was a bad move because now he's burned so many bridges just because of his HOH reign.
Yeah, he definitely, I agree with you. He's definitely executed his HOH very poorly. I don't know necessarily that it was a bad move for him. And the reason is that I see some good things, and I'm trying to be as positive as I can with Ryan, but I do see sort of from his perspective how he's like, well, nobody's talked to me, nobody's made alliances with me. So it's not a I personally don't think it was a terrible thing either way for him to win HOH or not. I just don't think I'm with you. I don't think it was necessary for him to have to put up his allies. Yes, I guess in one sense, he's thinking of it early on. In my opinion, you want to kind of go with the house a little bit, but at the same time, even if he doesn't put up what the house wants, if he doesn't put up Andrew and doesn't put up Hamza and puts up some other targets, I think there's some alternatives that can still please the house. Do you agree?
Like, I think so. And like, Joel, like, it's actually interesting you said that, given the fact that nobody had really approached him for any deals. Maybe he saw winning HOH as a way to breach the gap and kind of get where everybody's head is at. And for a little bit, it actually was working because people were coming up to him, telling them who they think should go up. They were giving him intel. And like, but I feel like he wasn't as proactive in really capitalizing on the HOH by making deals and saying, okay, I'm not going to nominate you. You keep me safe. And most of all, telling people who he wants to put up, not asking the House who they want to put up. Like to be honest, like I've only been HOH once in my season.
Best time to be HOH though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the last time, like literally the last HOH that was up for grabs. But like, here's the thing with the head of household. I feel like when you're HOH, like a lot of people fall into the trap of saying, oh, I got to do what the House wants. But I'm like, no, you don't have to do what the House wants. Yeah. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm not nominating you. You're safe. So just shut up and let me, whoever I put up, most people are going to be happy if it's not their name that's on the block.
Right.
So, like, I feel like he kind of, like, overestimated how much he pissed the House off. Because, to be honest, I don't think the House would be that pissed if he put up any other two people. Even if you put up Olivia, most people would just be happy that they were not the ones on the block. Because nobody really has a tight alliance with Olivia. And another name, too, who I think would have been a perfect name, is someone like Ali. He could have said, Ali, you've been on the block already. You're already comfortable there. I guess I'm just going to make you the designated pawn. He could have, like, done so many other things. He didn't really have to give into the pressure without putting up a fight. And by the time he realized that, oh, I made a mistake, and then when he tried to fight, it was too late because now the House had the veto, and it was now their way.
Why was he being so cagey, do you think, in his plan? Because I do think that getting Olivia out might have been a good move for his game to gain some favor with the House, but also have some allies in front of him who some of the other people, like, say, a Jesse or somebody else could have targeted. So why... I know sometimes when we're playing Big Brother, we want to be cagey, we don't want to show our cards too much, but what did he have to lose by telling people that were playing for the veto, hey, what do you guys think about backdooring Olivia here? What did he have to lose to either put up Olivia to begin with, or to tell people, like, hey, here's who I'm putting up originally, but I want Olivia gone? Who would have raised their hands and, like, resisted that?
I don't think anybody would have objected to that. Even if he put Olivia up right on the block, just like that, I think most people would have appreciated that he has taken out a bigger threat for the rest of the House. But then by putting up Andrew, here's also another thing that I think was a mistake by putting up Hamza and Andrew, is that I understand in some cases you might want to use one of your allies as a pawn, because when you put up your allies, they won't be upset that you nominated them. So I kind of see the upside in doing that. But here's the thing, he put up two of his allies.
Right.
And, like, it's just never a good idea. Even in one of my veto speeches, I said it's never a smart idea to use your closest ally as a pawn when pawns go home.
Yeah.
Like that. It was really, like, just a bad call. And I could tell that, like, he was really sorry about it, and he really realized how stupid of a decision he made. Because after that, he was scrambling. He was trying to tell people, hey, I got a plan. All of you throw the veto and let the nominees win. People are like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's the other thing is, like, when he's talking about this, he's executing it, and this is why I'm so torn, because I think he does have some okay ideas when he's seeing the House and where everybody kind of sits. He does have a good read, but, like, if you're one of the other House guests and you're saying, like, hey, throw the veto, and you're just saying, like, you're going to be a big threat and don't worry about it, stick to the plan. When you're not being specific, when you're being so vague about just throw the veto, it's like, wouldn't that sketch everybody out to be like, yo, who are you going after? Like, what's up?
Like telling people that, oh, I know this game is not a satisfactory answer to why they should throw the veto and possibly be a backdoor option. Like, people want to hear something solid, like you said. Don't be vague. Say you're throwing the veto either to me and I'm going to win it, and then I'm going to put up this person. Not, don't worry, it's all going to be okay. It's good for your game.
Yeah. One other, a couple people who have seemingly somehow been able to fly under the radar and not be seen or targeted by anybody, and they're two people that I could have considered to put on the block simply because they came into the House late, is the gate crashers, Marin and Veronica. Do you think one of them could have been a good potential person to just put on the block as a pawn next to an Olivia?
Oh, absolutely, they would have been. And to be honest, like I've been rooting for my boy Marin, and I've been rooting for Veronica coming in, and I feel like they really played it super cool. Like Veronica was kind of a little disappointment when she had the little outburst, but at the same time, I kind of see why she did it, because it helped put a bigger target on Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
She pretty much called him out in front of the house, and Marin's been playing it real cool. He's not calling people out. He's not doing anything crazy and unnecessary. And to be honest, like Marin and Veronica are not even playing that good. I think the fact that they're not up for eviction this week is more so has to do with how bad the other players have been. Like if Andrew and Hamza had not been playing such a wild game from the start, I feel like Marin and Veronica would have been the easiest option. But they got really lucky that like they had other people who were just digging holes for themselves. But so far, like they're doing a good job of staying under the radar. And Will as well is another guy I think is staying under the radar pretty well.
You know what? I'm going to have to correct myself right here now, and probably yourself too. I was thinking Veronica this whole time, and I've been so focused and breaking down Ryan's game in particular and some other people that I lost track of the fact that when they walked into the house, they were safe the first week, so it didn't even matter. It was a whitewash, so it didn't matter. Sometime down the road, perhaps it's going to factor in. But you mentioned Veronica calling out Ryan in that house meeting. We know typically how house meetings go. They tend to like go back in people's faces. Was it necessary for Veronica, given her position, not only the fact that she was immune, but was it necessary for her to do that, to even put her name out there for people to think about?
Not at all. Like, I feel like it was not necessary. Here's what I think a house meeting, I feel like a house meeting is a good strategy, but it should only be used in certain times. Mm-hmm. Like, if we think of Zach Rance when he called the house meeting and exposed Devin, that was a good strategy. And you want to know why? Because Zach Rance was actually in some deep water at that time. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, all my cards, I'm throwing them all on the table, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to freaking throw this guy under the bus, call him out, and hopefully deflect the target off me. But in Veronica's case, Veronica didn't really have a target. Yeah. Like, I haven't really been watching the live feeds, but like just from watching the show, most people were more concerned with actually taking out Ryan for the next week. Yeah. So I feel like what she did, it was unnecessary because she was not in trouble at all. And like, so why would you even call the HOH out and tell people what they already know? People already know Ryan's a loose cannon. They already know he's a liar. So like, there's no need to expose him in the house. By doing that, you're only showing that you're a volatile player. And most people are going to be like, man, if we want to get Veronica out, let's really play it cool because we don't want her blowing up like she did. So I feel like that was kind of a bad look on her. But I do get what she did. It maybe she felt like she was in trouble and she had to do that. But she really didn't.
Yeah, and she's also like not a fan of the show, and I think that's pretty evident from everybody else. So I don't know if she just felt if it's just a lack of experience or whatnot, but I think she is another one of them who maybe was just like, I want to get some attention or some airtime one way or another. But
I think it was for some TV time. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. And Joel, I'll tell you this too. Notice how when she had that house meeting, no one was raising their hand, going like, yes, I agree. Yeah. People had their mouths shut. Even though they agreed, they were letting her be the mouthpiece and letting her be the messenger. So now when Ryan wins another HOH, God forbid, he's taking her out.
Absolutely.
He's thinking it's your fault. Everybody else, they let her take the bullet. They let her do their dirty work. It was pretty much comedy for them. They were sitting down going like, okay, Veronica, entertain us. Yeah. We all hate this guy. Now let's have you bash him and it didn't help a game.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about her other fellow gate crasher, Marin, who's somebody who had a 50-50 shot first of getting into the house. I think it was kind of a slam dunk that he was going to get in over Mikey personally. But how have you liked the way that Marin has played thus far and his position right now in the house?
Oh, I really like the way he's played because like I haven't seen him in the DR at all, so that shows me he's playing a low-key game. The only thing I'd suggest is that he needs to build more allies and kind of make him position himself as a asset for the other house guests, you know, and get himself. He needs to not really build alliances, but really kind of present himself as, hey, I'm a free agent. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to work for either side of the house. And, like, I don't want to see him commit to one side just yet. Like, I want him to just play the middle and just play just straight down the line. Like, don't even join anything. Yeah. And eventually people will come to him when they need numbers.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think he's obviously got some good skills. I feel like to be able to make a deep run in this game, even though their story was absolutely ridiculous, the story they came up with to like get into the house. But it's a credit to Marin in particular that when they were like, yeah, no, we're not buying this and stuff, he was like, we saw him pull Veronica aside and be like, okay, hey, like they didn't buy any of this, and that's something that you don't necessarily. That's also a skill that is not that easy to do. We see so many people being like, well, I convinced them.
That you can tell what people think about you and how people are receiving you. So that was really like, a good skill. Yeah,
and then he can also, like, with that, it's one thing to be able to try to give somebody a compelling argument and try to convey it to a way that makes sense to them, but if it doesn't resonate with them, it's another thing to be able to do damage control, which is something that we all kind of have to be able to do. And that, to me, shows me that he'll be able to do that some point down the road, whether he's HOH or whether he's a swing vote and votes one way and not another way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't appreciate that skill, that, like, it's really, like, it's good to be a great liar, but it's also even more so important to be able to tell when people are not buying your lies.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the most important. You want to know, are they believing what I'm saying or not? But because that's what makes you skilled at deception, if, like, you are able to tell if people believe you or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I think Veronica was like, slam dunk. These people totally buy it. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You're telling them you were in the audience, and then when they ask you, oh, so did you see our buyer? You're like, no, I was asleep when they were showing that. Like, yeah, she almost like ruined that for them. Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about Hamza a little bit. Hamza's somebody who decided right from the very beginning he was going to play the lone wolf. You famously were pretty much alone. You didn't commit to alliances throughout the game. You were involved in lots of conversations, but everybody sort of saw you as the lone wolf in your season. How do you feel Hamza's lone wolf strategy is paying off for him so far? Or is it? Well, like, on the first week, it didn't pay that much dividends. Yeah. But, hey, like, he survived on the block. So, like, I got to give him kudos to that, you know. Like, it's really, like, a lot of people don't understand how tough it is to get yourself to survive come eviction night, you know. So I feel like he really did a good job at distancing himself a little bit from Andrew and kind of showing that, hey, you know, I'm not this guy's sidekick. And right now, he doesn't have any solid alliances. So I think his lone wolf strategy is going pretty good. The only thing I'm kind of concerned about is him winning HOH this week. I felt like coming off the block, he was good to go. He was under the radar. If anything, people were going to use him as a pawn. Yep. But at the same time, you know, like, I got to give him respect for actually making a big move and recognizing that, man, this Jesse guy and this Olivia girl, there are going to be problems for me down the road. Yeah. Those are the people more likely to want to get me out. So that right now, like, I think he's doing pretty good, you know. Like, we'll have to see down the road if he really, really pulls it off, you know. Do you think if you're in the house, do you think it was best for most people in the house for it to be a unanimous vote to get rid of Andrew? Because I was sort of breaking down the numbers, and this is where I'll give Ryan a little bit of credit, even though he executed it really, really badly, is when he was talking about, like, hey,
we don't know where Hamza's coming from. We don't know what Hamza's going to do. Andrew will tell you straight up who he's going to go for. So at least it's like, with Andrew, you're almost like, he's stabbing you in the front, whereas like Hamza, you have no idea where he's going. So I feel like when we're talking about the divisions in the house between the red room and the white room, I feel like I feel it was maybe not necessarily a good move, or more of a risky move to keep Hamza for some of the people that we see are sort of in control of the game. People like the real deal, like Derek and Kayla, Paris, and Jesse, some of those people in power, and even Johnny as well. Do you agree that it was a bad move for the people that seemingly have the numbers at this point?
I think it was a bad move too. And Ryan even said it, which was one of the only things that made sense that he said this week. He was like, you know who Andrew's coming after. You don't know who Hamza is going for. Yeah. And that's true. Like, they knew who Andrew's targets were, who he was going to be upset at after. And Andrew was really begging. He was saying, guys, come on, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do this again. I feel like it was a bad move, you know. And, like, Andrew, he's such for his duration in the house, was such an abrasive personality that sooner or later somebody else was going to want to get him out. So I feel like he was like a good shield to keep him in the game, keep him doing his shenanigans, and kind of like, you know, use him, hide behind him. So I really feel like they should have kept Andrew in that house. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I think the most part, I think there's maybe only one or two that I was like, okay, maybe these two would be best served, but we don't realistically. Hamza's a wild card, which is great for us when we're watching at home, because we love that sort of unpredictability. That's why a lot of fans watch the show. But from a realistic standpoint, I put on sort of my game player's face, and I'm like, well, if I'm in an okay spot and sort of with the right people right now, do I want somebody who might potentially go after me? I don't even want to risk that. That's just my own personal opinion.
Exactly, you don't. Yeah, like for me, like, I personally would have just kept Hamza in.
Yeah.
No, I would have. I mean, like, I would have kept Andrew in, and I feel like Andrew did not really do a good showing in competitions. He would also, from that aspect as well, he's not a competition threat, and he's not a social threat either.
Yeah, agree. So let's talk about some of the showmances that are brewing in the house. I know how big of a fan you are of Big Brother Canada showmances. After all, you recently put up a $1,000 bounty for anybody who would evict the showmances. So is it the right time right now to go after a Dela or Paris and Jesse? Is right now a good time for people to start cutting them?
I think Hamza might have read my tweet, because like he's already going for the showmances now, so he wants that $1,000.
Yeah. Oh, he's already got.
And as far as a good time, I think it's the perfect time. Like, it is never a bad time to get out of showmance. Because as we've seen, Season 1, a showman's made it to the end. Season 2, a showman's made it to the end and won, as well as Season 1. And then Season 3, a showman's was about to make it to the end.
Until you ruined it. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Ruined it for myself, too. But then Season 4, once again, a girl who was part of a public showman's, Kelsey, made it to the end. I
got her out. In fairness, I got her out. I got her out originally, and then she came back.
You guys freaking decided to bring her back.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, Joel was trying to tell you guys that you gotta get this girl out, and y'all bring her back. Yeah. And then Season 5, once again, Dimitri and Ika made it all the way to the end. So, like, showmances should be taken out. It's like, I say you should evict a showman's on first night. Whoever has the potential to become a showman should be taken out right away. They're so dangerous. And like, it's just like, I feel like it's the bad move. It's a good move right now.
Yeah. What do you think
when you have multiple showmances in the house? Because now when you target one,
there's another one. Yeah.
No more.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think about the? I was kind of breaking down, and I'm going to get back to Ryan again. There's so much really to tackle with Ryan, but I want to try to get to everybody. But there's one more thing I want to touch on with Ryan. Do you think that just based on how the house is sort of shaking down right now, that even though Ryan made a ton of wrong moves this week and a ton of really, really poor execution, do you think and the fact that he just like essentially sent his closest ally out the door.
Yeah.
Is he still like? Could he still potentially be in an okay spot where he might not necessarily be targeted down the line just by luck?
That again here, like I just had to cut my.
Oh yeah.
Cut my video off to get a better reception. Sorry about that.
No worries,
but
man.
Yeah, could you just repeat that?
Yeah. So, do you think that maybe just by luck and coincidence, just the way that things have shaken down in the house, do you think that Ryan is still in an okay spot where he could potentially survive next week and the following weeks? Not because of like smart gameplay and how he set himself up, but just because of
what has happened.
Yeah, just because of circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think like this definitely benefits. This benefits Ryan in such a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Because like guaranteed he was gonna be next.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants, so I feel like this is almost a blessing in disguise for him. And actually, come to think of it, this might be why Hamza felt necessary to win this HOH. Perhaps he saw that, hey, Andrew, what's his name? Ryan is one of my closest allies. I got to win this HOH in order to keep him safe. I don't want to lose another one. So maybe, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about some more live feed stuff. Obviously, we've touched on it a little bit. The fact that Hamza won HOH. Hamza decided to put up Olivia and Jesse. What do you think about those nominations?
I think, like, to be honest, they're solid. I would have preferred to see him put up Paris and Jesse, but at the same time, Paris has been playing really hard, and she's been in Hamza's ear. She's been in everybody's ear. And I feel like he believes Paris is on his side, which is why he decided to put up Olivia instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Do you think his execution, and I was kind of running by some stuff that I saw on Twitter and some of the live feed things that I'd heard. So his reasoning, which is kind of interesting execution, in my opinion, his reasoning for putting up Jesse in particular. Olivia, there's a lot of people that have thrown out her name, so I kind of get the Olivia. Like, I get the Olivia thing a little bit. The one
because
that
she's
is
a marathon runner.
Yeah, the one that I'm kind of a little bit confused about, and just the way that Hamza's articulating his reasoning for putting up Jesse, is he talks about like, hey, Jesse, if I put you up, man, and then I take you off, you'll totally owe me, and then it'll be like me doing you a solid, you'll owe me your life. He talks about how he doesn't want them to like suspect.
Are you serious?
He talks about how he doesn't think that he thinks that if he puts him up, then it'll be like no one will suspect that you're in the house. But what do you think?
I don't know. Like,
that's risky, isn't it?
If Jesse actually buys that, then he's got to be dumber than I think, man. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
That only works if you are actually working with the person, if you guys are actually close.
Yeah.
But you can't just tell a guy that you haven't even been working with that, hey, man, they would totally not suspect we're working together. It's like, yeah, you're right. They won't suspect because you're not working together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's sketchy, right? If somebody's telling me that, I'm like, excuse me, you're already thinking about cutting me at this early stage when me and you have like a really good working relationship. Like, I'm not gonna buy that. Maybe it's just Hamza's lack of really knowledge of the game that is making him think this way. But I'm surprised that he thinks that somebody like Jesse would be able to buy it, because it's one thing to be able to explain to somebody why you're putting them on the block and do some damage control that way, but I don't know how somebody like Jesse is going to be like, excuse me, what? No, I would owe you my life? How?
Yeah. Like they're going to owe him a solid one.
Yeah. But
it's like, you are the one who put me up. You know when that works? That would work if Hamza won the veto, and then he said, Jesse, I'm doing you a solid by taking you off. Then you kind of have a case there.
Yeah.
Because Jesse can actually look at that and say, oh, this guy is saving my ass. He must really be loyal to me. But that doesn't work when you're nominating them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jesse and Olivia right now are on the block. If it stays that way, we know from the live feeds that Hamza also won the veto, so there is the potential. He did promise Jesse that he would take him off, but there's a lot of people, like Johnny and Will in particular, that are trying to convince him to not do that. And Johnny and Will seem pretty tight in there. Is it a smart idea for him to pull Jesse or Olivia off the block?
No, neither one. If he pulls somebody off, it should be Olivia and put Paris up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is unlikely, but
yeah,
I think at this point, like, he has to keep Jesse on the block to go home. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think
Jesse already has an alliance? He has a 4-person alliance.
Yeah.
Are they campaigning at all for him? Like, have you been watching the feeds?
You know what? It's kind of down the middle. Definitely, he's got Derek in his pocket. Derek is 100% loyal to Jesse. No question about it. I believe Kayla is as well, but I'm seeing a lot of people kind of waffling back and forth. Johnny and Will have sort of been the headhunters trying to campaign to make sure that, number one, Jesse isn't pulled off the block, but number two, that that Jesse is evicted. There's one of the people sort of at the forefront of this that is gonna have a big say in it is somebody that has been kind of invisible on the show thus far, and that's probably not a bad thing, and that's Maddie at this point. Maddie is walking back and forth. Yeah, exactly. We haven't heard anything from Maddie. They made a really solid pitch about, hey, Olivia's not coming after you. You're going to be fine with this. It's hard to.
The swing vote,
it's hard.
This is why people gotta lay low and not be too right off the bat.
Yeah.
Just like, you gotta keep a low profile and play the middle.
Yep.
As long as when you commit to a side, you don't have any power anymore because you gotta go with the group.
Yep.
You gotta go with what that side is telling you. But if you're on your own, now you have all the influence. So, like, yeah, for Maddie's sake, I think she could go either way at this point. Yeah, for her game specifically, she would probably want somebody like Olivia out instead of a Jesse, the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because Olivia is somebody who can potentially play the same game Maddie is playing, kind of low-key, which is why I think Olivia is more dangerous to Maddie. But for the house in general, they need to get Jesse out.
Do you think that, I'm glad you mentioned the swing vote thing when it comes to Maddie. Do you think, though, that when you are a swing vote, and this is something I know a lot about because I was pretty much like somehow a swing vote. I was a swing vote like literally week after week after week. Yeah. So there's a way that you can play it. Do you think that it can be risky for somebody like Maddie to be a swing vote and then push one way and then people be like, oh, well, she's clearly with that side because that's who she voted for? Is that a risk that that she could be on people's radar in the future, or do you think she should still be okay?
But see, Joel, like from experience, you already know that, like, when you play the swing vote game, like, just you can vote one way 1 week, but it's also important to vote with the other side the next week. Sure. And just like go in between, but do it in a way that is not too wishy-washy. Yeah. The last thing you want is people saying, oh, you're a flip-flopper.
Yeah.
But you can do it in a way of saying, hey, guys, I'm a free agent.
Yeah.
I never said I was on your side.
Yeah.
I was just voting because that was the best game for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 100% that is the best way to play it with a swing vote strategy, and that's something that I tried to employ a lot. I didn't go into my season wanting to always be the deciding vote, and I didn't think that I was literally going to be the vote so many times. Yeah, exactly. But I think the best way to play it off, because everybody knows after an eviction who voted where. You can't ever hide anything like that. Arisa shakes down the votes, and eventually people always snuff it out. So you can't.
Yeah, people
they
gonna know.
You can't play it off like Cindy did on your season when it was your vote and JP, and think that you can actually get away with that. It's inevitable. So the best thing to do.
That never works.
Yeah, it never does. It never does. But I think the only way to really play that and use damage control, because you do have to use some damage control in that situation, is that you need to be able to tell people, like, hey, this is the reason I got rid of this person. It was for an individual thing. It wasn't because I'm joining one side or another. It's because such and such person made me feel uncomfortable, or this person was talking to me more, or this person just seemed a little sketchy and I was a little weary. So you got to have your individual reasons, in my opinion. That way people are like, well, he's not really joining any side. And then you can hopefully be good for a little bit longer. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, because I feel like some people, instead of doing that, they kind of, when they're a swing vote, they vote a certain way, and then they tell that side that, okay, guys, I'm with you now. And then obviously that side is going to be pissed off when you vote the other way the next week. But if you played it like you said, where you say, okay, guys, like, you guys are making up a good argument, and I do agree that it's in my best interest to vote this way, then you vote that way, that side is not going to be upset they won't be as upset if you change your mind the next week, because they know that you never really committed to being with them. You just voted on a vote-to-vote basis, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So another two people that I've mentioned, the people that are sort of leading the charge right now to try and get Jesse out, are Johnny and Will. I want to touch on Will in particular, because Will to me has been one of the bigger surprises. Going into the season, I thought, okay, obviously they cast him as to be like the next recreation of John Party sort of thing, but I was like, there's no way this guy is going to be able to escape that sort of a stigma, sort of, if you will, because it's inevitable. Because it's kind of inevitable. I feel like there's been so many seasons that none of us are exactly. I'm not like Steve Moses or like Ian Terry, contrary to popular belief, but I knew going into it that I was going to get compared to those types of people. How do you think Will has been able to take that target off of him, but also seemingly he seems to be in good with just about everybody in the house right now? How do you think he's been able to do it?
Like, to be honest, I think Will has been phenomenal. I would have never expected him to play this way. The way he's been so low-key and just really playing it so smooth under the radar, which you rarely see from a big guy like him, who right off the bat, you look at him and you say, this guy is a competition. He's a you know, like, even in my season, I wish I had stayed that low under the radar the way Will is doing it, where no one is even mentioning his name or saying that, man, what about that Will guy? Maybe we should get him out next. Like, people are they're not even realizing how dangerous he can be. And when it comes to, like, the vote, him pushing for Jesse, that might have to do more with the fact that, you know, like, he's kind of into Paris too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I think that vote for Will is more so, like, that's to get Paris to himself. Let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, so do you think the Paris, and this is something that people have talked a lot about on social media, is Paris the Netta to Will's John Party?
Exactly. Like, I think, like, it actually could be. Because once Jesse goes, like, whose arms is she going to fall into next?
Yeah.
Like, the only other eligible bachelor in the house also looking for a showmance is Will.
Yeah.
And he's already shown interest in her. And I feel like them as a team could be a solid team, man.
Yeah.
Like John and Netta part 2.
Yeah. Yeah. The last person we haven't talked about is somebody that I was really high on, but now I'm kind of on the fence whether or not she's playing maybe sometimes a little bit too hard and sometimes not reeling it in as much and showing maybe a little bit too much emotion, is Erica. I was really high. In fact, Erica was one of two people that I had as my winner pick. As someone
really?
who absolutely. I thought she seemed like somebody who I thought could adjust and sort of bend and weave as the game sort of goes along. That's just, I mean, we're only going off pregame interviews too, so it's really hard to judge just off of that. But I was really high on her. She seemed well-spoken. She seemed really sociable. She seemed like somebody who was clearly a really smart cookie as well. How have you found her gameplay? Has she been too aggressive, or is she still in an okay spot?
I think Erica's still in an okay spot. Yeah, there's times where I thought, man, maybe she's being a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I feel like generally in the house, she is in a really good spot because like the house enjoys her presence. They are working with her. I feel like most people trust her. And when she kept the nominations the same, I felt like she showed kind of her loyalty to the house. Mm-hmm. And she's like right now, like she's just going along with the flow. And also like in the DR, like I can definitely tell she's got a good understanding of what's going on in the game, who to get rid of, who to keep. Yep. And even when, despite having a close relationship with Andrew, she still knew enough that she had to kind of vote him out. She had to put him out in that competition. So I feel like, you know, she's definitely got the theory right. And as far as the execution, I don't think she's overplayed just yet. But I fear that later down the road, she's one of those people who's going to get a little too cocky in her position in the house. Mm-hmm. And right now, I don't think she even really knows about the 4-person alliance, the real deal. Yep. So, like, you know, like, only time will tell. But, like, as far as if I had to pick a top 3, she's definitely in my top 3.
Was it necessary for her? I have been kind of on the fence. I feel like she's obviously in really good with everybody out there, but there's a few small little things that she's done where I have kind of raised a bit of a red flag with me. One in particular, well, like winning the veto #1, especially when she was clearly really, yeah, when your friend is on the block. I can see why.
You know he's gonna want you to use it.
Right.
Why put yourself in that position?
Yeah. Why put yourself in that position? And even she had no reason whatsoever to try at all in that HOH competition. So I think for her buzzing in originally,
she's a calm threat.
Yeah, well, not just that. Like she buzzed in. She didn't win the HOH, which is a good thing, but she also buzzed in and gave a couple of answers, and she did eliminate Andrew, if I remember correctly, from the competition. So why would she even like risk that sort of a confrontation with Andrew? And we saw Andrew confront her and be like, hey, why'd you do that? Right? Why even put yourself in that position?
Yeah. Yeah, that just showed like really poor grasp on the game. Like you know, if you get that question right, you know who the house is going to want you to put up. So unless she was doing it to prove her loyalty to the house, which was, I don't think anyone was questioning her loyalty to the house. So she should not have done that. And then she goes on to win the veto after smoothing things with him. Yeah. And then not use it. Like that, once again, something she didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely. It seems like something really, really minute because she's clearly not somebody who's making the most mistakes out of anybody there. But anytime you make one tiny little mistake, you never know. And it's a funny game because sometimes you can make so many mistakes like Ryan and still be okay. And then Jesse, in my opinion,
imagine if Ryan wins after doing these mistakes. Nobody would really even remember that he made these blunders in his game.
Yeah, that's the other. That's the other thing is that no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome at the end of the day when it comes to this season, everybody who doesn't win is going to be seen on the outside as somebody who's dumb, as somebody who screwed up, somebody who messed up, and whoever wins.
Most of the time is not the case.
No,
because sometimes somebody can win by pure luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can do all the wrong things and still win, and you can do all the right things and still lose.
Yeah. Yeah. So heading in, we don't know yet if Hamza is going to use the veto or not. But in your opinion, right now, if Jesse and Olivia are staying on the block on eviction, who is the right person to evict?
The right person to evict will be Jesse.
Why Jesse?
Jesse, because he's already part of a showmance, or at least trying to build one. And on top of that, he looks like a strong social threat. He gets along with the cool kid side of the house, and he's almost kind of a ringleader on that side. And then for those reasons, it's not so much of why Jesse is the best move to take out. It's also that Olivia, why are you getting rid of Olivia? Mm-hmm. Like, because people think she's smart because she ran a couple marathons. Like, Olivia does not seem like a threat to me. If I was in the house, I wouldn't be scared of Olivia. I'd actually be happy. I'd be like, man, they should cast at least 5 of these Olivias to better my chances. You don't want 5 Jessies in that house.
Do you feel like
Not at all. So
do you feel like Olivia is one of the people? Because I think Jesse, the only good case I think I can make for keeping Jesse in, and I don't know if this is going to be his pitch if he's still standing on the block and is not vetoed off, but I feel like Jesse's pitch is that he can't hide. He knew that going in, I think, that he wasn't going to be able to hide how he looked, just his physical strength, number one. Everyone's always sort of threatened by the people that are muscular and the people that are physically fit, number one, but also the looks as well. Yeah, the looks and the charm and stuff. He knew that he had all of that stuff going in, so I think I think his best bet at this point, which can potentially be a compelling argument, is to say, look, like, I'm never going to be able to hide. Olivia can potentially hide, and someone else who I haven't mentioned, who I think now has the...
That's actually a really good point.
I don't know if anybody's going to buy that, but...
He can't hide that, yeah.
He can't hide that. He'll never be able to hide that.
And Olivia can kind of skate by.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And someone else who can skate by, who made it through week one fairly easily, and even though she was nominated, is Alejandra. Alejandra, I feel like, and we've seen this so many times in Big Brother Canada history, where the person that makes it through the first week, we saw Emmett in season 1 make it all the way to finale, even though he was up the very first week. We saw Peely make a really deep run in the game, even though she was the first one on the block in your season. Kelsey made it all the way. Yeah. She was up on the block for Dimitri last season. Just barely squeaked by 1 vote against Mark. Does Alejandra have that kind of an upside where she made it through week 1 and now can potentially make a deep, deep run in the game? Because I think she can. You there, Godfrey?
I think she can too, absolutely. She's got, and I definitely think, like, right now she's maneuvering herself in the game so well, which she's not upsetting people. She's not doing any dumb stuff like winning competitions or like doing anything where she'd be seen as responsible for someone going home or responsible for anything. Whereas a few people are doing that. So I feel like she has a really good shot. Yeah, like right now there's a lot of strong female players. Like if you put in Olivia, people you might not consider strong players, but who are just not threats and are playing it so low key. Maddie is doing it perfectly, brilliantly. And then, like, to be honest, now that I think of it, now that you've said this, maybe getting rid of Olivia might actually be the smarter thing to do. The only thing I'd say, though, is that Olivia, who's really riding for Olivia in the house?
It's true. Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of allies. Yeah.
He has 3 strong people who are working for him.
Yeah.
And for all I know, he probably has more. Like, he has the charm. He's more able to rally people to his side and build a little group, a little alliance, with much more ease than Olivia would be able to do it. Like, if you have Olivia coming after you, you have nothing to fear. Like, what's she going to do? Like, nothing. Like, she doesn't really have anybody who's really even going to listen to her and say, okay, Olivia said this. But I feel like Jesse has that influence where, like, if he's coming after you, he can get at least 4 of same. As seen right now, where he was kind of campaigning for Ryan to be the next move for the next week, and people were on board with it. So I feel like it's really like, man, like it all depends on your individual game. So right now, it's definitely not going to be an easy decision.
No,
it's either one person who has strong allies versus somebody who, you know, if they're in the final 4 or final 3, nobody is voting them out over you, which is Olivia, and that's scary.
Yeah, 100%. Final question for you, Godfrey. We saw a lot of like really Big Brother being really savage when it came to that HOH and just burning people like we haven't seen before. Yeah. Who out of the Big Brother Canada 6 cast would you not go to their birthday? Is there anybody? Or even more savagely, who's funeral would you not attend? Who do you disgust? Who do you disgust so much that you're like, you know what? I hate you. Screw you.
Let me give this a thought.
You can plead the fifth on this one because that's a horror. I can't believe how low they would go with a question like that. Like,
I know. Like, who would you not go to their funeral? Who would you not go to their birthday?
I don't know. I get there's so much tension in the house, but it's like you really would not do that.
Nobody for me has really done something so outrageous where I'm like, man, Screw this person. I want to see this person get out.
Right.
This is a tough one, but I want to answer it. Like, I feel like I have to answer it.
Is there anybody, well, maybe more importantly, is there anybody on your season that you would not attend their funeral?
Oh, there's quite a few, but I'll stick to season 6, though. Season 6, okay, I'd have to say, like, just based on gameplay alone, like, I would probably, because, like, I'm a huge Big Brother fan. Like, I want to see people who play great gameplay. And at this point, I would not go to Ryan's funeral.
Why?
For his birthday. Just based on the atrocious game he has played this week.
Yeah.
And what makes it so bad is the fact that he's a super fan. Like, if this was Veronica do this, I'd let it slide. I'd be like, okay, the girl's an idiot. She's never watched the show. You know what? What do you expect?
And she's a damn good twerker. Ryan,
yeah, exactly. I mean, she can twerk.
Yeah, that's right.
Brownie points for that.
There you go.
But I'm like, Ryan, you've watched the game, man.
Right.
It's not even like you're a kid where I can say, oh, he's only 21. I'm like, you're 35 years old, man.
Yeah.
You're an adult. You have common sense. You've watched all the seasons. And you still made some of the worst moves in this game so far by putting both of your allies up, making terrible arguments as to why people should throw the veto, and just overall horrible gameplay.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say, like, he's the worst gamer as far as this week goes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like he has a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe he's going to want to make it up to us by actually doing something worthwhile. Yeah.
Final quick question.
What about you? You got to answer this too, man.
I got to answer this? Oh my God. Okay. I mean, let me go down the line here. We don't want. I brought up the question, so it's my own fault, and now I'm gonna have to face the repercussions of it when we have to meet these people in a couple months down the line. So that's my bad. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with. Since you said Ryan, I'll say. Oh man. I'll say Jesse, because I think he's very different from me. I think he's a nice guy and he's done well up to this point. But I'll say Jesse because
Jesse too, man.
I'll say Jesse because he's very different from my personality, and I'll also say Jesse because he's one of the people that doesn't follow me yet on Twitter. So I'll use that as like a spite thing for him right now. So there's no really other reason, and I put myself in that position. So it's my own bad for mentioning
Jesse
that.
Too, based on. He reminds me of a certain player in my season who I really wanted to get out. Yeah.
Who you openly said that you would get out.
Who I openly wanted to get out.
Yeah.
Like,
we won't name his name.
I just get flashbacks of me in the house. I'm like, gosh.
We won't name.
I had such a douche like this in my season. Like, I just feel like if I was in a season with Jesse, I would not like him.
Yeah.
I would not want to work with him. And I just feel like he would target me for some reason.
Yeah.
Which is totally unfair to say because like I haven't. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
But based on that, but based on gameplay,
yeah,
I wouldn't really say like he's done anything really that bad.
And that's the beauty of Big Brother sometimes, is that you can not do anything wrong and all of a sudden you can be in the position where Jesse is. Man. Yeah.
Like, look at this. Like, you cannot even sit here and say, man, Jesse put himself in this position.
Right.
But it's just, like, it's the luck of the draw, man. Sometimes, like, it just happens.
Totally. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up right there. So Godfrey, for anybody who wants to follow what is going on with the lady Pleaza, what's happening in the Uber world for yourself, how can people follow you?
Hey, follow me on Instagram, Godfrey Mangwiza. Follow me on Twitter, the lady Pleaza. Just give me a call. I'll be right there. Designated driver.
Yes. And one last thing, since we were talking about this a while ago, this is totally off topic, but who's your pick to win the World Cup?
My pick to win the World Cup?
Yep.
I gotta go with Portugal.
Portugal again. Oh, see, I was going to go with France, so me and you are going to be at a standstill again. We'll see if it comes back to bite me this time like it did last time, where I had Portugal originally, and then I lost it by switching my pick.
By giving it to me.
Yeah, by giving you the pick, and then eventually you ended up winning it. Portugal,
Maybe you should give me France this time.
Maybe I should switch it up, but I got a feeling somehow this is like their 20-year anniversary from when they won. My teams traditionally don't always win. They always, like, make me believe that they're going to win, but but then they just fall short at like semifinals or finals or so. So I'm hoping maybe the 20-year anniversary will have some sort of a I don't know, lightning will strike twice or something like that. We'll see. It's going to be fun. But for me, guys, you guys can follow me at JoelBBCAN, Joel Lefebvre, at JoelBBCAN4 on Instagram, and Joel Lefebvre on Facebook. Tune in for more great talks on Big Brother Canada in the future. Next week, we have got the French Connection. Dre and William are going to be on to talk about week number 3 in the Big Brother Canada house. The French Connection. Can't wait for that. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys again soon. Toodles!